One of the biggest mysteries to emerge from Gen V Episode 7 was the vision that Annabeth had when she predicted that her sister Marie would perish when she confronted Cipher. As we saw in the episode, it turned out that it was incorrect. Could this be because Annabeth hasn't mastered her abilities yet and her precog powers aren't up to the level that they should be at? Or is it because the vision hasn't actually happened yet? Well, I thought I'd take a deeper look into the vision that Annabeth had, which opened the most recent episode, and look into what it could truly mean. So let's get into it. Here is Gen V Season 2 Annabeth's Vision Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. So first off, the placement of Annabeth's vision being at the very beginning of the penultimate episode is something that gives it a lot of importance in my eyes. The fact that it was the first thing that we saw makes me think that it's something that the show wants us to remember. And as well, we also saw it later on down the line, midway through the episode 2, where there was a slightly more expanded version. Within the episode, it was made out like the vision that Annabeth had would be taking place when Marie went to confront Cipher or Godolkin. However, as we saw, when Annabeth walked into the room, Marie wasn't in the state that she expected her to be in. There wasn't blood everywhere and she was just passed out on the floor. One could put it down to the fact that she could have been mistaken and maybe the events unfolded differently to what was supposed to ultimately lead to Marie ending up in that state because, as we know, Annabeth can also alter the outcomes because she saw her mother and father's death before it happened, but she did nothing about it. But in this instance, I don't think it's the case with this. I think this is just a case of picking the wrong time that the vision occurred. I think the vision is going to be taking place in the finale and it could well end up expanding in the next episode and we'll see more of it. When looking at where the vision is set, it looks like it's taking place inside of the training room where Marie spent a lot of her time with Cipher when he was trying to get the maximum out of her powers during the beginning of the season. And it seems like there's going to be a scene that's taking place here in the finale where Marie could end up coming face to face with the likes of Thomas Godolkin in his true form, instead of the man that he was controlling. I'd say it's taking place inside of that room because when you look at the windows that are in the vision, they're of a rectangular shape and they have bars in front of them. When looking at a scene that took place in this room in a previous episode, they seem to be the exact same type of windows. Within Annabeth's vision, not only did it show Marie lying on the ground covered in blood, but it also showed blood floating around in the air. This makes me think that it's not Marie's blood and it could well be somebody else or from many other people. It's moving in the same way that Edon the goat's blood moved when Marie accidentally caused him to explode. So I'm thinking the same kind of thing is going to happen. So that then leaves us with the question of who could it be? Well, I'm going to start with the option that I think is the most likely one. What I think is probably happening is that Marie is going to be heading towards the training room because Godolkin could be looking to carry out his culling of all of the soups. Or he's going to be looking to train up the best ones that there are. We've seen him push the students to their limits with the likes of the Viking using brute force and attacking them no matter what the consequence, so I can't imagine he'd be any different now. With Marie most likely interrupting it, I think we could see Marie fighting back against the likes of Godolkin and trying to stop him. However, what I think will happen is Godolkin will take control of Marie like he has done with many other characters in the show when he was Cipher, and he might well look to use her abilities to do a mass culling of the students whilst they're in class under her control. We know that Godolkin has the potential to control Homelander because Godolkin was the person that essentially created him. God is quite literally in his name, so he's pretty much God of the soups. So I wonder if when he's in control of Marie, he's going to be able to push her to reach the maximum level of her powers that he wanted her to. And that could be what causes him to push it too far where a load of the people end up imploding, and that could be where all of the blood is from. Marie didn't look like she was dead when inside of the vision. She had her eyes open and it just looked like she wasn't truly there. The blank and absent look in her eyes is something that I feel we also saw in episode 6 when Cipher was dealing with Godolkin. So it makes me think that she's just not fully in control like when Cipher wasn't. Something that also makes me think that she's not in control is because we saw two different versions of Marie that was lying there. We saw one that had no blood on her whatsoever, and then it quickly flashed to a version of her that was covered in it. I think this is symbolic of the fact that she's not in control and that she isn't the person that has blood on her hands, but it's Godolkin because he'll be the one driving it. The version that doesn't have blood is the one that's inside. Another reason that I think Marie's character could end up killing the students under the control of Godolkin is because her character kind of followed suit to the behavior that Kate carried out in the most recent episode, and she's almost going in the direction that Kate did in Season 1 when she participated in the slaughtering that took place during the Season 1 finale. We saw what it was like for Kate to be manipulated by Vought, and now we could quite literally see what it's like for Marie to actually be controlled this time round, showing a deeper development. I feel like this is the most obvious explanation for Annabeth's vision because this would also allow Godolkin to be present in the final season of The Boys. He's the creator of the God Tier soup, so it would be good to see him involved in the final season and being there alongside Homelander, tying into the wider plot. However, I do have some other explanations for the vision that might not see Godolkin survive. The next explanation is pretty similar to the likes of what we've seen with Godolkin, but I wonder if instead of Godolkin utilizing his powers on Marie, we instead see Kate entering a position where she utilizes her powers as a last measure. And as her powers have all been going wrong, it might end up being the very thing that causes Marie to max them out and use them on all of the other students that are in the room. That's the loosest theory of the vision, but you never know, it could be a possibility. The final explanation that I think could be behind Annabeth's vision is that the blood that's everywhere is from Thomas Godolkin. Thomas Godolkin could well end up being a short-lived villain and not connecting into the final season of The Boys if the showrunners go down this route. I think this would see Godolkin leaning into the large sacrifice that he mentioned when he was Cipher. That would most likely mean that Godolkin could look to use somebody that Marie's close to, maybe Jordan because she's closest to them, as a pawn and as a way of getting Marie to push her powers to the limit. We saw that happen in the past in episode 4 when Cipher was in control of Jordan, and it was Jordan that pushed her to the ceiling of her powers that she had back then. So it would almost be like a bit of a full circle moment if Jordan is the person that ends up being on the cusp of death, or even being controlled by Godolkin and they end up bringing out her potential all over again. Marie might see Jordan struggling and be pushed to the level that we know she can reach, which is the Homelander level of abilities. And then the only way for her to be able to stop Godolkin is for her to quite literally reach the maximum level where she's able to override the control that he has. If the likes of Polarity is able to do that, then Marie, product of Project Odessa and one of the most powerful soups that there's ever been, should be able to. Personally, I feel like the most likely option is that it's going to be the blood of the many that's on Marie, and it's going to be Godolkin that drives her to that point. Marie will essentially unlock a level to her powers that she never knew that she had before, but at the same time, it will come at the cost of the many innocent students' lives that are there. This will allow for Godolkin to be in Season 5 of The Boys, and it will also allow for Marie to be the most powerful level she's ever been at for the final season of The Boys too, and she could be ready to face the likes of Homelander. So, there you have it, Gen V Season 2 Annabeth's Vision Explained. If you want to see every episode of Gen V Season 2 being broken down, then check the playlist below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. What do you think Annabeth's vision means? Share your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video and I'll see you in the next one.